The point at which a game reveals all its cards is magical. That feeling of control is completely ripped away from you and suddenly, the game is in charge again. The moment that Shepard betrays you in Modern Warfare 2 is one that will scar you for life, and one that I still can't forgive to this day. But those moments are the most memorable, when a game does something so unexpected that you audibly gasp, like the people dropping popcorn in slow motion on cinema adverts. These are the games that stick with us through the years. So, would you kindly join us to look at the 5 gaming moments that blew our minds? Just beware of major spoilers for any of the games that appear. The Bioshock series is not afraid of twists. Its would you kindly moment is still one of the most shocking moments in video games to date, but it's not the only mind-blowing Bioshock twist out there because, as we know, there's always a lighthouse, there's always a man, there's always a city. Bioshock Infinite flipped everything we know about the underwater cityscape by taking it to the sky. Up high we saw cult leaders, giant robot birds, and time travel. It set the Bioshock world up to be much bigger than we could have ever thought, and because of that, it needed a significant explanation to tie it all together. As things start to wrap up in Columbia and the Songbird is defeated, Elizabeth uses her full power to transport you back to Rapture. You find that just like in the original game, everything is laid out for you. No matter the path you take, the universe you end up in, and the choices you make, there's always a lighthouse. In a not so subtle way, the game's commentary on existentialism and free will is one that will leave you questioning whether it was you that even chose to pick up this game. Maybe someone else is playing a game with you. Of course, the first Bioshock game does something similar with its mind control twist, but this somehow feels much more grandiose. Like no matter what you do, nothing will ever change. And it's almost terrifying in its messaging. Either way, you'll probably never look at a lighthouse the same way again. The Last of Us Part 2 rewrote the rulebook regarding storytelling in games, not only putting us in the shoes of a whole new character Abby halfway through the game, but also killing off one of the most essential characters in the franchise just 2 hours into the game. The Last of Us Part 2 pretty much just opens with one of the darkest scenes in gaming. Ellie is tied up and forced to watch her father figure brutally murdered with a golf club. A whole first game of connection and world building makes the scene even more powerful, and sets the game up for an entirely different story than many anticipated. If The Last of Us Part 1 is about survival, then Part 2 is about revenge. It's a shift that you don't particularly expect, and one you arguably weren't sold on. Subverting expectation like this is unheard of in AAA titles. Imagine if you loaded up the next Mario game and he fell to his death with the rest of the game being played as Toad. Because of this, the fragility of all these characters is incredibly heightened. You never feel safe, and every corner seems to hold some sort of life-ending danger. A game can rarely cause such a sensory overload throughout a whole experience, but The Last of Us has its grip on you the entire time. Still, the moment when Ellie's life turns upside down is one you'll struggle to remove from your mind, and one that completely blew us away in terms of storytelling. From the second you wake up in Portal, something is very wrong, and despite the very catchy music playing, it's not long until you're thrust into multiple dangerous trials. The all-seeing eye that is GLaDOS is watching over you, and she's tempting you the entire time with a lovely, delicious cake. I'd confidently say that this cake being dangled in front of you is one of video game history's best-looking cakes, only second to Mario 64. But despite this, you never actually reach the cake. Instead, you're greeted with the message, the cake is a lie. I'm not sure we need to say much more, and I suppose it's less a mind-blowing moment and more a devastating one. But it really does change the whole course of the game. GLaDOS turns evil, and you are revealed to just be a lab rat. If the glass cage at the start wasn't enough of a hint. While attempted murder is a pretty unforgivable offence, it doesn't quite add up to the betrayal of the no cake, and it's why to this day, I carry a computer virus to every birthday party I attend, just in case.
Initiating surprise in 3, 2, 1. I made it all up. Surprise. Oh, come on. If it makes you feel any better, they abandoned you at birth. So I very seriously doubt they'd even want to see you.
Despite being traumatised by the lack of cake, you'll still find me listening to the 10-hour Portal radio loop for 5 hours, 18 minutes and 59 seconds. Not a second longer. Braid is probably the least known game on this list. It's a smaller indie title from 2008 from the developer of The Witness. The game sees you travelling through luscious watercolour paintings, messing with time and physics to save a princess at the end of each level. While on the surface it seems relatively wholesome and like a cliché princess saving story, not until the very end that the dark truth surfaces. You spend most of the game rewinding time to reach the princess, and on the final level, time starts working pretty differently. Everything except you moves in reverse, and it's revealed that in fact, The princess is running away from you. You are the monster that the princess has been trying to escape, and all the obstacles you've been avoiding are traps set by the princess to stop you. It's a moment that makes you rethink the whole game and the morals at stake. What was once a wholesome love story is now an evil revenge story. It's like playing Peggle and suddenly discovering that the pegs are actually all starving children. Not only that, it's a twist that makes you look in the mirror at yourself afterwards, and has since made me rethink almost every princess capture game. Is Bowser really the villain, or is Mario just an overbearing partner? Maybe Zelda's just trying to make it on her own. Assumption really is a dangerous weapon. The sanctity of relaxing and playing a game should never be messed with. Fortunately, Hideo Kojima doesn't believe in such a thing. When you're sat playing the original Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation 1, you'll eventually graduate out of hiding in cardboard boxes and instead take the fight to a seemingly unbeatable boss, Psycho Mantis. It may take some time to realise, but to beat Mantis, you actually have to move. Not in-game, but physically. By switching the controller to a second port, you transfer Mantis's consciousness into the controller, allowing you to be able to stop his mind-reading tricks and eventually defeat him. It's an incredibly innovative fourth wall-breaking moment, especially for 1998. With Kojima's obsession with walking, it doesn't seem too surprising that he wants you to get up and mess with the console, but it's still a moment that takes you by surprise. Fourth wall breaking has become more normal now, especially with the addition of built-in controller speakers and touchpads. However, 24 years ago, this genuinely mind-blowing moment changed how developers and players approached games forever. So there you have it, 5 gaming moments that blew our tiny little minds. Did we miss anything? What moments would you put on the list? Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and just remember, if you see a lighthouse, always be wary. Rapture could be around any corner.